my marriage fell apart, and all of that shattered, that idealistic view and idolization of marriage. It fell apart, it shattered. And I began to realize that Jesus was the only one I could turn to. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm happy to have you here today as we talk about singleness again, and we're going to talk about how to be single and happy. A lot of times those two words are not combined because a lot of times we think about singleness in regards to being lonely and feeling down about ourselves and all of those things. But I am really thankful that God has taught me and is teaching me, it's a process thing, how to be more happy in this place of life that I am in, being a single mom. And I hope to pass off some of that advice to you guys today. So the subtitle of this video is The Doctrine of Singleness. I know it sounds a little silly, and I made up that term myself, but I really wanted us to start with our beliefs and kind of the big overarching thought process to being a single person, because our beliefs really affect how we live, how we think, how we feel about ourselves and other people, and how we connect with the Lord. So that's what we're doing here. I'm calling it the Doctrine of Singleness. So first I want to tell you guys how I used to be before, when I was single for the first time, 16, 17, 18. I got married when I was almost 22, where I was at that time in life, because it was totally different to where I'm at now. I was the type of girl that wanted to be married so bad, that romanticized the idea of marriage, loved the cute little girly movies, and was sentimental kind of person, and just couldn't wait for meeting somebody someday, to hold hands and all those silly little things. And I kind of had in my mind the idea that marriage was the end goal in life. Kind of like I couldn't really see much more beyond that. I didn't even really think all that often about even having kids. I know I did somewhat, but it was just like, I can't wait to be married, and then life was just gonna be smooth sailing from there. Well, then I got married, and I kind of, in a sense, idolized marriage and my husband, and prioritized that as like the end all be all, hoping I could get anything and everything from that relationship. And I see one of the faults that I made in my marriage was expecting too much of him, and expecting perfection, and expecting to just be completely like satisfied and content in that relationship mainly. And really that was not a good way to look at that relationship. Well, maybe you feel that same way that I felt like when I was that young, where you're thinking that marriage is going to be just the most perfect thing, and if only you could meet somebody, then all of your problems would go away, you would be so happy and wonderful. Well, part of the reason I think we feel that way is because that's what the world tells us. I mean, if you think about it, love, romance, relationships are the theme and the topic of so many chick flicks, so many country songs. Yes, I like country, but it is the theme a lot, is relationships, love, and all sorts of things, like what we read in the news about celebrities, who are they with romantically now, and we idolize a lot of that. But something that we have to differentiate between us and the world is that the world's top possibility, top level of love is a human relationship, is romantic relationship, because that's the way it is apart from Christ. But us as Christians, romantic relationships are not our top level or possibility of love, of experiencing love. So we as Christians have so much more love to be able to bask in through Jesus Christ, and it has no comparison to human love. Now, our emotions can play tricks on us, because human love is something we can touch, we can experience physically, and see that person and touch them and all those things. And our relationship with the Lord is on a spiritual level, but yet it is able to be I don't even know why I said 10 times, infinitely more satisfying. And I want you guys to know that, infinitely more satisfying than any relationship you will ever experience on this human earth. And until you get to that point of accepting and believing that God's love is the ultimate form of love and capable for you to have right now, wherever you're at in your life, until you get to that point, you will never be satisfied. And you will continually be searching for that ultimate form of love. So I'm the type of person that likes examples and like pictures representing truths, because it can like get in my mind a little bit more. So the fact that marriage is supposed to only represent Christ and the church, it's a picture of something so much greater, God's love for the church. Made me think about giving you guys an example of this little picture that I have of my kids. It's from a number of years ago when they were littler. I'll let you guys see it up close. And it's so cute and adorable, and I love this picture. But what if I told you guys that I love this picture of my kids so much, but I didn't really love my kids in person? Or that, you know, here, I want you to see this picture of my kids, but I don't care if you ever meet my kids in person. I just love this picture. I just adore this. They're just, oh, it's the most important thing in my life is this picture. Like, you'd be like, you crazy, Molly, you crazy. But yet that's what we do when it comes to relationships. Relationships that are only meant to be a picture, well, marriage, I should say, marriage, which is only meant to be a picture of something far greater, God's love for his people, the church. That is what we do. We idolize the picture instead of valuing the real thing, the real deal, what will only be eternal, because marriage won't be in heaven, but Christ and his love for us will be forever and ever. So really, it's only a blip in time here on earth, which can be kind of an uncomfortable feeling a little bit when we're like, but I want to get married. I want to meet someone someday. And I want to emphasize that the desire to be married, the desire to be with someone is something that I do believe God places in a lot of us. So back to my story of how I idolized marriage and I held my husband at too much of a priority in my life. Well, then my marriage fell apart, and all of that shattered, that idealistic view and idolization of marriage. It fell apart, it shattered. And I began to realize that Jesus was the only one I could turn to. It was like that thing that I held on to so tightly was ripped from me, and all I could turn to was Jesus. And that was a beautiful place to be, even though it was terrible and awful. And I believe that God's ultimate will was for my marriage to have restoration in that. But God brought beauty out of that situation for me to really have those lies broken down, that I could be completely satisfied in marriage. I couldn't be completely satisfied in marriage. And God helped me realize that he is the only one that will never let me down. No matter how great your marriage and wonderful is, that person will let you down. No matter how wonderful your family is, they will let you down at some point or another. But God will never let me down. And that is so wonderful to just really realize. The faithfulness of the Lord will never leave me. God's love is enough to satisfy every part of me. And in fact, that God loved me first, that I didn't just choose him, but he chose me first. It talks in the Bible that while we were yet sinners, Christ died for us. God doesn't expect anything of me to bring to him to earn salvation. It's just me accepting what he did for me. I'm going to read to you guys a verse in 1 John. It says, and this is love. So this is what love is. Not that we have loved God, but that he loved us and sent his son to be the propitiation for our sins. So any of y'all that are feeling as a single person that maybe you're not good enough, you're not beautiful enough, something's wrong with me, or feeling this deep sense of rejection maybe through divorce, feeling like, what did I do? Is there something wrong with me that I'm not worthy of love? Maybe you've been single for a long time. Realize that God loved you first, that he loved you first, even when we were just sitting in our filth of sin, covered in sin. God loved us, the one who is so perfect, so beautiful, so worthy, so holy. God loved you first. And then get this, let's move on to John 15, where it says, greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. And who did that? Jesus did that on the cross. And that's pretty amazing to accept that kind of love, that Jesus died for our sins so that we could have life. Someone who is perfect died for us, took that penalty for us who are so full of sin, so that we could be right with him, so that we could have a relationship with him, the ultimate relationship with him. So this is my theology of singleness, because we've gone through the belief, what our belief system is, and then next week we'll talk about some just practical applications for finding happiness in singleness. So subscribe, guys, if you haven't already. I'm getting real close to 300 subscribers. I know it's a small amount, but for me it's kind of exciting. Thank you guys for being here. If you've recently subscribed, or y'all old schoolers that have been with me for a while, thanks for sticking along too. I love you guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.